Hello and welcome. We start with updates coming in from the Democratic Republic of Congo. At least 11 people have been killed and 65 injured after twin blasts rocked the city of Bukavu in the country's east. The blast took place when Rwanda-backed M23 rebels, who have captured Bukavu, were holding their first rally in the city. There were thousands reportedly present at the rally when the explosion struck. It caused panic and people started fleeing only before a second explosion occurred. The blast caused multiple deaths and injuries. Tragic scenes were visible with pools of blood on the streets. One of the witnesses said that he saw a device fall from the sky in the middle of the crowd, while some expressed grief over losing their loved ones.
We were still there when we saw something fall from the sky into the middle of the crowd. At least 5 people died instantly. We don't know who dropped the bomb from the hillside here. We were all there, and we're in shock at what's happened. It hurts me a lot to lose my mother in such a senseless way. Well, my father has never even been a street gang leader, but my mother has just lost her life. What's more, we weren't even coming to take part in the meeting. We were just passing by, and we were blocked.
The rally was being addressed by rebel leader Corneille Nangaa. He is the former chairman of the DRC's Electoral Commission, but now he is the leader of the Congo River Alliance, which includes the Rwanda-backed M23. He has blamed the blasts on the DRC President Felix Tshisekedi. Warning of consequences, he said the perpetrator of the attack is believed to be among the dead.
We are saying that this act will not be without consequences. The first consequence, as I am sure you can already tell, is to ensure that this never happens again, and that wherever the source of these threats lies, that these sources are eliminated.
Meanwhile, calling the explosions heinous act of terror, President Tshisekedi blamed the attack on a foreign army illegally present on Congolese soil. The DRC accuses Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebels. As per the UN, up to 4,000 Rwandan forces are present on the DRC's soil. The incident risks further escalating the war in the mineral-rich east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, which has already drawn in several neighboring countries. The M23 rebels have seized 2 main cities in the DRC's east, the capital of North Kivu province, Goma, and the capital of South Kivu province, Bukavu. Both of these provinces are rich in rare earth minerals. The rebels are now near the town of Uvira, which faces Burundi's economic capital of Bujumbura. Now, Burundi forces are deployed in this area, as per the residents. Uganda has deployed troops to the DRC in an area along its border, although no fighting has immediately been reported there. Several peacekeeping troops from other African nations have also been attacked and lost lives in fighting, igniting risks of a wider regional crisis. So far, the diplomatic efforts by regional groups have failed to resolve the conflict. Earlier this week, African countries appointed a trio to oversee a push for peace amid fears of a regional war. The East African Community and the Southern African Development Community have appointed ex-Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta, ex-Ethiopia Prime Minister Desalegn, and ex-Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo as facilitators of a new peace process. But the fighting on the ground continues, and the people of the DRC continue to suffer. How will the latest attack further worsen the situation? Now, for more on this, we have with us Stella Agara, Governance and Security Analyst, who is joining us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Stella, what do we know so far about the explosions at the M23 rally in Bukavu? And what evidence, if any, supports the M23's claim that President Tshisekedi's government was behind the attack?
I think the scanty information that we are getting out of DRC is that 11 people were killed and 65 were injured. in the process of this attack. There are also different claims about who is responsible for it. The government of DRC is claiming that the M23 are responsible for, rather not the M23, but they're talking about a foreign government that is on their soil, and they are talking about Rwanda being responsible for this because they're referring to Rwanda. And then, of course, there's the M23 claiming that it's the president, His Excellency Tshisekedi, who is responsible for attacking them. And I think the reasons they're giving is that he would have motivation because he doesn't want them on his soil. And then there are also other claims that other forces could have come into this whole thing. Indeed, DRC presents a very complicated, complex conflict situation because the faces that you see in the conflict may not necessarily be the motivators of the conflict. There are foreign governments backing both sides of this conflict, and of course their manipulation is playing a huge role in what is happening. And then of course there are local governments that have interests there, including the government of Uganda that has been benefiting a lot from the DRC. The government of Kenya has also been a culprit and has recently been accused of benefiting from a DRC. So there are many people who could be blamed for this situation. This was an M23 rally.
Right.
And the people attending the rally must have been a mix of the Tutsis and some other DRC locals. I would have difficulty including that the president of the nation would want to attack his own people in his soil. I imagine that there are other forces that are taking advantage of the conflict right now to cause even more trouble, and I think it's really destabilizing the situation and of course standing in the way of the peace talks. And the people who are to benefit from failed peace talks are not the locals of DRC. It's actually most of these foreign forces that are not showing their faces but are participating actively in fueling the conflict.
Right. And Stella, on that, let's go a little bit deeper. As you said, the Congolese presidency has blamed a foreign army illegally present on Congolese soil. This clearly a reference to Rwanda. How credible is this claim? And how does Rwanda's alleged support for the M23 impact the broader regional conflict?
If we were to put ourselves in the shoes of the government of DRC, their main antagonist in this conflict is the government of Rwanda, because before the government of Rwanda came into their country, they still had other people who were interfering, but at least none of it had gotten to the place of conflict that they are at now. And so I think they have gone for the first suspect, and of course they've gone for the government that has been antagonizing them. There are many other foreign troops in DRC. You may be aware that there are South African troops in DRC, some of whom were actually killed by the Rwandese troop at the start of the conflict in Goma. There are Kenyan troops in DRC. His Excellency the President William Ruto, actually sent a delegation on the second day, actually the first day in office. After his inauguration, he went and actually sent a delegation to DRC. Uganda has had military presence there for a very long time, so he could be referring to anyone. But of course, for this particular conflict, it's easy to assume that he's talking about Rwanda because they're the ones who have been very antagonistic in this conflict with them. One of the questions you must ask yourself is, why is the government of Rwanda deeply invested in supporting the M23 rebels? I think it is now a clear fact that the M23 rebels are largely composed of the Tutsi, some of whom migrated from Rwanda during the genocide and settled in DRC. It was not just Tutsis who migrated. I mean, it was everyone who was being displaced or everyone who was running away from the genocide that was going there. So there are some Hutus who also moved and went on that side. The majority of those Hutus may have been eliminated after the war because they were followed in conflicts to all the way to DRC. So most of the population that is found across the border from Rwanda is actually the Tutsis. And I think the government of Rwanda is coming in because these Tutsi people are not just linked to Rwanda, they are also related in terms of their culture and their tradition and even their tribe to the president of Rwanda. And I could see why he would be interested in coming in with them. But there's the other dynamic, Alyson, of wealth and the conflict for wealth. Rwanda does not have much minerals. Rwanda does not have much in terms of natural resources that they sell to the world. As a matter of fact, the country thrives on selling services. And so living next to a country that is mineral rich like that, and a region, actually close to the region that has majority of the minerals that are deposited in that country, could very easily be tempting to anyone, especially when your neighboring country may not necessarily have the strongest or the most stable of governments. And I think that's what puts them in a situation where they're tempted to come in and try and regain some power, or or try and retain the power to continue extracting from DRC. But one of the most difficult questions we must address is, are any of these people or any of these troops, any of these governments that are present in DRC, are they there because the people of DRC want them there, or they're there against the will of the people of DRC? If we answer that fundamental question, I think we'll get to the core of this problem.
Absolutely. Stella, thank you very much for being with us on Firstpost Africa and for your valued insights and analysis on the latest out of the DRC.
Thank you for having me.
Merci beaucoup. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat Kelogon, Komeri Namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically in a month, we have viewers up to 150 million. That's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years, we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Laurent, this is your chance to be famous. You're on Firstpost. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs. And that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model and then they recalibrated it.
So are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.